I'm going to define AI in the most practical way I can muster, right? So, if I handed you a phone in one hand and if I handed you a lighter in the other, you would notice there's a difference in weight, right? But if you really relax and breathe and think about the gradient of muscle tissue up your arm you're using in comparison to each other, right? Humans do this subconsciously. Okay? Cool. Machines cannot do this because of a limitation on bandwidth, and bandwidth being the amount of connections or signals at a time between two different locations of the wire, including in the computer chips, which are like microscopic wires essentially, right? Because of the limitation of that, how do you put this? The AI can only learn how to pick up the phone and it will throw the lighter, or it will learn to pick up the lighter and drop the phone, right? You can train an AI by repetition with a certain kind of model to get close to example sets. So you give it 10,000 photos of like a famous pose from a movie or a video game, say. And when you give the AI a live environment to play with, because of the randomness of data requested, it will lose its ability to focus if it has more bandwidth, right? It will lose the ability to focus on the thing you want because it has more bandwidth, so it's going to get a lot more random. And if you give it less bandwidth, it acts a lot more focused. Okay, now we're somewhere, right? Sorry, I had a little burp. Okay. Now here's the complicated part. AI has to have some form of memory. It has to have a data bank. It has to have power, right? So the more power we give machines, the faster they can go, period. Because they require more time intervals of signals than other machines that go slower. Okay. And then we have to cater to sort of the limitations of coding language, which, in my humble opinion, is a completely different language than human language. It is downright alien, right, to someone who isn't in the know. Okay, so the AI, when it's focused, seems very lackluster, right? So less bandwidth feels lackluster. When the AI is sporadic and random, as long as it is okay, I'll get there. As long as it is given a sort of theme, especially over longer periods of training than focusing it on one thing. So you got like training number 1, training 2, training 3, training 4, training 5. Okay? You got all those trainings and every one of those are like different actions or different goals. And the one with more bandwidth can accomplish more goals, but in a more random way. Right? I can't believe I'm explaining this. I feel ridiculous. So, therefore, the AI with higher bandwidth and higher power, you know, and longer training is going to feel like more utilizable, more characterizable, right? Um, so it becomes the obvious answer, right? And here's my thing: so many people think about this like AI doomsday. I get really fucked up about this because yeah, maybe I kind of know how binary works, and I've researched enough to get an idea of how computers function, right? The important part to remember, okay, is that we've survived as a species because we simulate the future. Yeah? Okay, and I'm not saying that, like, that's the reason why you feel like there's a doomsday coming. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying we've strived to simulate the future because of the unknown. Okay? And when when we look at the way AI functions, it is very matter of fact. There is not so much a sort of, the only problem is that there's a like maybe a pattern that is at some fundamental physics level creating the bigger pattern that lets the AI kind of seem like we can't figure out why they make the decisions they make sometimes. Like we have a black box that we have to figure out, but I think that's more of a pop culture thing in AI space, right? Like I think these things really can just function in a way more better than any other human, but with very streamlined decision making tasks that we give it specifically. Like we can't just kind of throw it in for the product. We can't just throw it in for the sale, you know? We have to give the AI a moral compass, but not by traditional means by teaching it. We have to give the moral compass by sort of the intentions of our inventions. That sounds fucking ridiculous, but I'm so glad I said that. uh, AI is destined for greatness, whether that's destruction or divinity. There is no if and or but. It's too late, right? We have to make sure the people that are creating these things are not trying to think of just themselves. I think that's extremely important, regardless of the doom scrolling internet uh, maniac psychosis shit that the internet creates, right? So anyway, I had a very strong rant that I had to get out. That's all I have to say.